Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Hopefully you can hear me and see me okay. Also, I hope you've enjoyed the day throughout the morning and afternoon. I hope you've been interacting with partners of ours, visiting their booths and also seminars throughout the day. This will be the last seminar of our March 2023 virtual event, so thank you all for joining us. You may have been here a little bit earlier when I was hosting a seminar all around the healthcare, but also the Italian legal side of purchasing a property over in Italy. For those of you that missed it, my name is Seb, and I'm one of the business development managers here at Your Overseas Home. For this final session, I'm joined by Trevor from Smart Currency Exchange, who is the managing director, and he'll be sharing his insights into the foreign exchange for overseas buyers. So we've got a great speaker and also knowledgeable person around foreign exchange requirements. So thanks for joining, Trevor. It's great to have you all here, whether you're watching live or on demand. This whole event is designed to support you, the buyers, around giving you guidance and the opportunity to get your questions answered. Throughout the whole session with Trevor, you'll be able to ask your questions in the question and answer tab at the bottom of your screen. Once Trevor has actually finalised his presentation, we'll then open up the floor to those questions, and we'll try and get through to as many of them as possible throughout this 30-minute session. If we don't get around to answering all of them, not to worry, we've got the virtual exhibition that will be open, and the Smart Currency Exchange booth, where a representative or colleague of Trevor will be able to answer your questions and also follow up with you the following week if it's a pressing concern. But yeah, thank you to all the exhibitors so far. It's been a great day for them, and they've offered a wealth of information and documents through both the seminars and the videos. And we will be holding this event live for the following month. So if you do want to re-log in, or if you aren't listening live, please do reach out to any of the exhibitors or any of the speakers after the event. Right, enough from me. I'll leave it across to now Trevor to welcome you two and introduce himself. Trevor, do you mind just doing a short intro and then going across into the presentation around currency exchange?
Yes, no problem at all. Thank you for that, Seb. So my name is Trevor Charnley. I'm the managing director of our private client division at Smart Currency Exchange. So we're one of the largest private client divisions in currency companies in the UK. We're FCA regulated, and we help tens of thousands of customers just like yourself who are going through the overseas property purchase process each and every year. So the title today, how smart the currency markets in 2023. I'm going to take you through the presentation. As Seb says at the end, I'll run through any of those questions. So do feel free as I'm speaking to ask those questions on the Q&A tab, and yeah, we'll get to those at the end. So just a little bit of history as to how currency rates have been moving over 2022. Many of you on this call today will be looking at property throughout Europe, and you may very well be a buyer based in the UK. So currency exchange rate that you'll be exposed to would be sterling euro. So in 2022, you can see a relatively volatile year, September in particular with the mini budget, which saw a huge crash. But the principle of showing this is just to show you those highs and lows from the year. So from the highest exchange rate in sterling euro to the lowest exchange rate, a 14% difference over a 12-month period, which for you looking at buying a property in Europe and perhaps your home currency is sterling, 14% is obviously a rather large difference. So it's really important to engage with a currency expert so that they can help talk you through your currency risk, what that means to you, and what the different options are available to you to try and manage that risk. Some of the key influences on currencies in 2022, some of the recovery from COVID-19, Russia-Ukraine conflict, of course, massive energy challenges, massive supply challenges in general globally, ultimately affecting both currencies and stock prices. Cost of living crisis. Financial markets operate often on investment and on confidence. and that's consumer confidence, which drives customer spending, and subsequently the knock-on effect to stocks, shares, currencies is significant. Last year was obviously particularly turbulent when it came to cost of living in relation to inflation, interest rates, etc. Queen Elizabeth II passing was actually a major event for the financial markets. One wouldn't necessarily tie the two together, but a significant impact on currencies last year. And then general political instability. Actually, just looking at those bullet points, so that's an awful lot of political instability in a very short space of time. Boris Johnson's resignation, mini budget from Liz Truss and Kwasi Kwarteng, Truss's subsequent resignation shortly after, and then Rishi Sunak's revised new budget, which obviously reversed many of the proposed changes from Truss and Kwarteng. So some of the tools to outsmart the markets in 2023. It's really important that you have a trusted currency expert who has dealt with thousands of property transactions before to help give you guidance on your purchase. So if you think about the journey that you're potentially going to go on, from very day one, all your property prices clearly are going to be based in euros if you're looking at Europe. Clearly, there's other currencies in there around Turkey, Switzerland, etc. And of course, further afield onto the US and Australia. It's important that you understand currency rates in the first instance to help you budget how much you're actually going to be able to spend. Often people, currency is not the most exciting part of buying an overseas property, but it's extremely essential. So it's really important that you engage with somebody early so that they can help talk you through, one, how to plan your budget, and two, they can start to talk to you and educate you on some of the risks associated with what you're about to do. Understanding currency risk. So that 14% movement last year, although it was a particularly turbulent year, if you actually look at the prior 3 years, 19, 20 and 21, sterling euro as an example moved 10% each year versus the top and the bottom. So although last year was a bit more turbulent, 10% is a very typical difference between the highest rate and the lowest rate in a given period. And even that 10% figure, when you're looking at such a large asset purchase or a large movement of money, just think about the impact that 10% could have on you from the point that you place an offer to the point that you complete on that property. If you suddenly have to go and find an additional 10% come completion day, that can be very, very significant. Forward contracts are an incredibly useful tool for customers when they are looking at an overseas property. So your typical journey would be that you're perhaps in research mode right now, having a look at where you might want to go, what kind of regions, what kind of properties, etc. Once you've sort of settled on what you're looking for and where you're looking, you'll start to engage with your estate agent. You may then book to go on a viewing trip to go and actually see some properties. If you're lucky enough to find that dream property and you place an offer, have that offer accepted, at that moment you are then exposed to currency risk. So most property purchases in Europe will typically take somewhere between 3 to 9 months to complete from the offer being accepted. And currency rates, of course, are moving every second of every day. So forward contracts is a really, really useful tool. It allows you to agree today's exchange rate for delivery in the future. So as an example, if you were to find that dream property today, you place an offer, have that offer accepted, you could agree today's exchange rate for your completion date in 3 months' time. What that means to you is that you've completely eliminated any currency risk. So come completion day, irrespective of whether rates have gone up, down, left, right, you've got exactly the exchange rate that you agreed on day one, come completion day. So therefore, absolutely no risk to you in terms of the currency markets, and you can focus on some of the other aspects of buying the overseas property, dealing with your solicitor, but perhaps planning for some of the nicer parts afterwards, perhaps building works, renovations, that kind of stuff. Market orders is an interesting product. So again, a market order is effectively an electronic trigger that allows you to say today's exchange rate, for example, is 113. You may say, actually, I'd like to try and achieve 114. And that's an electronic trigger allows you to say, okay, well, I'd like to achieve 114. If the market gets there over the period that you're looking to put that market order in for, then we will automatically buy the currency on your behalf. So you're not left having to sit there watching exchange rates for the next 3 months while you go through that property purchase. We will place that electronic trigger for you, and market orders operate 24 hours a day, 5 days a week. So at which point, if your desired exchange rate hits at 3 o'clock in the morning when the UK markets are closed, but some of the other global markets are open, your currency will automatically be bought on your behalf. Regular payment plans, so super useful tool. Many of our customers will go and buy that overseas property, but subsequently will have ongoing costs. That could be that they're moving a pension, perhaps they're getting a mortgage and therefore have a monthly requirement to exchange currency. Maybe it's just living costs. Maybe they just want to move the money from where they hold the majority of their wealth or income to the destination country so that they can spend, live, etc. And a regular payment plan effectively is an automated payment system. It allows you to make regular exchanges and having set it up just once. So you don't have to remember to go and do a currency exchange every month, for example. We can automate that process for you. You can set it up on day one for a defined period of time, or indeed leave it open if it's living costs, and just saves you an awful lot of hassle. Saves you an awful lot of hassle in terms of getting that money to where it needs to be on time. So turning some of those exchange rates into real life, I wanted to talk through a couple of scenarios for property buyers. So if we're looking at some of the 2022 exchange rates, for example, March 2023, Jason and Kylie decide to buy a small villa for €300,000 in Costa Blanca. At this stage, the total cost of the property is £250,000, or £250,000, 863. If you just look at the market movements that happened last year, and if we're applying those to 2023, in May, after they found that property they love, they pay a 10% deposit, €30,000 to take the property off the market. At this stage, the total cost of the property would be £254,972. So just in that 2-month period, the price of their property that they've agreed on day one is suddenly an extra £5,000, effectively £4,000 rather. If you then look at September, so they need to transfer the balance of €270,000 to complete that paperwork. At that stage, the total cost of the property is £263,227. So that difference just between that short 6-month period, which is very typical if you're going through an overseas property purchase, suddenly your property is costing you an extra £12,000. That's rather significant, and that's one of the major benefits of, one, understanding the risks that you're going to be exposed to. 2, make sure you agree a clear currency plan with your currency expert, and then obviously when you have that offer accepted, make sure you execute that plan, understanding the risks that you're going to be exposed to. If they'd used forward contracts on day one, they'd have ultimately ended up saving themselves £12,000. Why take the gamble is always the question. And I often get asked the question, well, what if exchange rates go up? Well, of course, exchange rates can go up and they can go down. But for me, if I was buying an overseas property, I'm there negotiating that price on day one with the understanding of what that's going to cost me on day one. I would rather not take that gamble and have a bill for an extra £12,000 come completion day. So just some of the things that you really need to consider: speak to an expert and engage with them early. As I spoke about earlier, really getting to understand your budget on day one is incredibly important. But then subsequently, before you go on that viewing trip, make sure that you understand the different options that are available to you and you have your currency plan agreed with your currency provider. Understand that budget, agree that currency plan, and then once you get the offer accepted, execute your currency plan. And as I say, if it were me, I would be securing that exchange rate and removing that risk. And then finally, of course, enjoy your new home. A couple of bits about smart currency. So As a FCA regulated business, we have been around since 2004, so almost 20 years old now. Really, really successful business. We've sent over £12 billion of currency, 45,000 clients assisted with this specific journey that you're about to go through, 600,000 transactions managed. And one of the great things about our business is it really does thrive on referrals and recommendation. If you're ever looking to understand actually that we are an excellent company to work with in going through this journey, do make sure you have a look at our Trustpilot. You'll see thousands of customer reviews on there that have used our services for exactly the process that you're about to go through. We're also a UK-based team. Many companies out there now are also outsourcing lots of their services. From our perspective, we truly believe in superb customer service, the result of which is we focus really heavily on having the best in class sat in the UK with our head office in London there at the end of the phone, able to help you with any of your questions. And that's it from me. Thank you for listening. Over to you, Seb. Any questions?
Yeah, brilliant. Thanks, Trevor. That was really insightful, and I love the the examples are really kind of put it to life. It's such an important part of the process, which unfortunately some people do leave last minute or don't think about to the last minute. So thanks again for sharing your knowledge, Trevor. As mentioned, please do put any questions you may have in the Q&A section at the bottom. We'll answer as many of them as possible. We do have some questions that came in a little bit earlier on today, Trevor, which I will put to you now if there's none from the audience just yet. So first one that we got through a little bit earlier on was, I just touched upon it. A lot of people kind of leave this part of the process to the last minute. You mentioned, 4 contracts, and perhaps the buying process takes, anywhere from 3 to 8 months. But when would you say is the best time for a client to actually get in touch with Smart Currency?
As you say, it often is an oversight, and it's often a thing that is forgotten about and left to the absolute last minute. It's not the most exciting part of planning overseas property, but it's so essential. For me, I would advise that you should be speaking to somebody once you've made that initial decision that this is definitely something that I'm going to do. You should come and talk to us at that point, because we'll help you understand your budget. So what your how much your sterling or whatever currency it is your home currency is going to be able to afford you in the destination country. If you engage with us early, we'll be able to help you understand your budget, give for any potential currency movements, and we can then start to educate you early and give you some information about the risks that you're going to be exposed to. Once you've found that property and you're starting to place offers, those things can move incredibly quickly, and subsequently trying to think about currency exchange and what you're going to do can often become a complication. If you engage with us nice and early, once you've made that firm commitment that yes, this is something that I'm going to do, or indeed if you're in research mode and you'd like to talk to us about that so you can get a better feel for your budget, that's a perfectly fine time to come and speak to us, and we'll help you there.
I think just to echo that, I mean, the more time you have, the better. Trevor mentioned in the presentation there, 10% movement, which on a large transaction, it can be huge. So why not speak to Smart as early as possible, understand the process, and understand how you can manage that risk. Just on that point then, Trevor, so let's say I am looking to purchase overseas in Spain. I come to Smart. What's kind of the process in regards to, is there a sign-up process? Is there anything I need to send you in order to actually be a part of that guidance?
So if you engage with us nice and early, we'll get you an account open. We open accounts for our customers and give them that assistance and guidance. It's not an arduous process, and it's no obligation to use the service on the back end. Clearly, we're going to give you lots of help, guidance, assistance. So I would expect that you'll ultimately use the service on the back end. But in order to open an account with us, you'll speak to our onboarding team. Our onboarders will help understand the basics of what you're looking to do, and then ultimately get you through to one of our expert traders, and they'll be able to start helping educate you on the risks that you're going to be exposed to and how you might look to mitigate those, or indeed use the service in any other fashion.
Brilliant. Yeah, thank you. Great stuff. We've got a couple of questions, Trevor, that have just come through. I don't know if you can see them there, but I'll read out the top one. So questions come through from attendee. Can we use the service for all associated costs of purchase, including taxes and legal, etc.?
Yeah, absolutely. This isn't just the currency service isn't just specific to the actual purchase or sale of a property. We deal with customers that have many different types of requirements, and indeed ongoing. So legal costs, absolutely, deposits, community fees, insurance, whatever it may be. We have many customers that are dealing with us to send money overseas that are non-property related in its entirety. Again, just could be gifting or could be asset purchase of some of the variety. We also have a business service which looks after UK corporates. So yeah, anything currency related or international payment related, we will certainly help with. Brilliant.
Yeah, hopefully that answers the question. And yeah, so do get in touch if you do have any requirements, whatever they may be. I know Smart Currency operate in numerous different currencies, not just the big ones. We've got another question that's come through from Juliet. I believe UK banks charge fees for sending money abroad. If we go through currency exchange, do these fees still stand?
So in terms of just transfer fees, then no, we don't charge a transfer fee to send that money overseas. And indeed, in terms of sending your funds from a UK bank to our account here in the UK or one of our accounts in the UK, then your bank won't typically charge you a fee because it's classed as a domestic transfer. So it would be sterling from your UK bank account to our UK sterling account. It's much like if you were sending money to friends, family, or a business for paying an invoice, perhaps. So your bank typically won't charge you a fee to get money to us necessarily. That does happen from time to time. Lots of banks operate on different price scales and transactional scales. The biggest piece here and the biggest place that the banks make their money on these types of transactions is actually on the exchange rates themselves. They charge rather aggressive exchange rates to private customers. So there's a really big saving there to be had.
Yeah, thanks, Trevor. And yeah, great question, Juliet. Thanks for asking. I know you mentioned your presentation as well, Trevor. The guidance around it. I presume that banks don't really offer too much guidance, or if any at all.
Yeah, indeed, the products that I mentioned earlier, so the forward contract, for example, which is such a popular product with overseas property buyers, that isn't something that you would be able to access through your high street bank. Your typical high street bank, they are generalists, the HSBCs of this world, etc. If you're going to set up a current account, absolutely, HSBC, perfect. But in terms of currency exchange, international payments, it's not their expertise. If you walk into a branch of HSBC and ask somebody to talk you through, okay, well, I'm looking to buy an overseas property, what are the risks that I need to consider? You're not going to get any expert assistance. It just doesn't exist, and that's not to their fault or detriment. It's just part of the banking service, and that's fundamentally why we exist. So that currency expertise is just not available, nor are some of the risk mitigating products that we've discussed. Yeah, absolutely. Just going back to it as well, Trevor, you mentioned kind of authorized smart currencies authorized by the FCA. A big part of the process of sending funds overseas is the security of funds to ensure that the clients are comfortable with it. And I can see that smart currency is rated 5-star. But how do the clients send you the money? How do they know it's secure throughout the process, and what kind of safeguards are in place? Sure, absolutely. So customers send us money via executing a transaction with their bank. So they're just going to take a typical transaction. Say you've got to buy a property in Spain. We're going to do the currency exchange for you from sterling to euros. You would then send us the sterling to our UK sterling bank account to settle that contract. We hold all of our funds in client safeguarded accounts. What that means is that those funds never form part of our balance sheet. They are ring-fenced outside of our operating model. The result of which means that customer money is that customer money. Those funds are held in tier one banks. Ourselves, we have a suite of tier one banking providers, including Barclays, Lloyds, etc. So those funds never form part of our balance sheet. The FCA regulation, as you say, is absolutely critical. We are highly regulated. We are a highly regulated business, and the FCA is not an organisation to be trifled with. The level of regulation is extremely high, and the result of which is we're a very safe, sound, secure business. And as I say, the fact that we've been in business for 20 years and rated extremely highly by thousands and thousands of customers is a testament to our safety, security, and quality of our service.
Yeah, absolutely. So your overseas homes has been working with Smart Currency for years now, and a very much trusted partner of us, and we always introduce our clients to them for this part of the process, but also other currency exchange requirements that they may have. The RRP or regular payment plan, as Trevor mentioned a bit earlier, again, shows exactly what Smart Currency can do. Just going a bit forwards and a bit backwards, Trevor, before a sort of client actually books in a trade, what is the process? I know you mentioned they'll be aligned to a trader. How do they go about booking the trade? Do they have to come in person, or is it over the phone? How does it all work?
We make it really simple for customers. So typically speaking, the actual property transaction itself is a relatively significant sum. So we have a team of experts here available over the telephone here in London predominantly. So it's simply a case of calling us. You'll speak to your trader. They'll talk you through the product that you're looking to buy, whether it's a basic spot contract or a forward contract. Agree that exchange rate, and that contract is done. Obviously, that contract will then need to be settled, and then it's down to the customer to pay for that contract, and we'll send the funds out to the nominated recipients. And that's just down to the customer to then tell us where they'd like us to send the money. Equally, for some of those smaller transactions, customers are welcome to utilise our app and online platform, which makes it super, super easy. So again, if once you've purchased your property, you've got living costs that you need to satisfy, our app is a great way to do that. For example, it makes it super quick, super simple. That doesn't mean that you're forced to use the app. If you prefer to speak to one of our traders over the phone, not an issue at all.
Yeah, very, very straightforward by the sounds of things, and having the ability to log into an app and then also speak to someone depending on what you'd like to do. It's great to have that sort of service and customer service. And I think that the 5-star Trustpilot review is testament to the customer service that Smart delivers on. But yeah, please do go visit those Trustpilot reviews and see them for yourself. Now, Trevor, I say a lot of the clients or attendees in today's seminar will hopefully, or at some point in the near future, be looking to purchase overseas. Going to give you a bit of a curveball to see if you know any perhaps main risks to people's budgets over the next coming 12 months or so, which they should be looking out for.
Yeah, it's a very, very volatile period for the economy as a whole. And to be frank, if I knew if it was going up or down, I'd be sat on a beach somewhere in the Bahamas at the minute, and not talking to you with the greatest respect, Seb. But to be honest, the best guidance I can give is that just don't gamble. You're here to achieve a life ambition. You're here to do something really, really exciting. Lots of customers come to me and say, well, is it going to go up? Is it going to go down? But the reality is nobody knows. Some of the activity that you saw last year and subsequently the exchange rates that displayed on that graph, very, very unpredictable indeed. For me, focus on buying that overseas property, take the risk away from what you're looking to do, get your budget agreed, get your exchange rate agreed, and focus on getting that property over the line would be my guidance. Comparatively speaking, current exchange rates are reasonable, pretty good on sterling euro. Just if you look at comparison, for example, compared to last September, in a much better spot. So actually, for UK buyers in Europe right now, it's not a bad spot to be in at all.
Good. Yeah, good to hear. And yeah, thanks to say the insight, Trevor. It's been really useful. Not just for the clients, but myself as well. So yeah, thanks for the questions from the audience. That's about all we've got time for this afternoon. But as mentioned, please do go to Smart Currency's booth. They have a lot of documents, guides, etc., around currency exchange and the different options available to you. And then following on from that, you can contact them anytime on the email address below. And also there'll be the phone number into the London office on the Smart Currency Exchange booth. Yeah, that was our last session for the afternoon. So massive thank you to Trevor from Smart Currency for helping us out and obviously sharing his knowledge. And best of luck to all of our clients and attendees. And please do get in touch if there's anything we can do to help you on your journey of buying a property overseas. Thanks very much. Cheers, Trevor.
Thanks, Seb. Have a great weekend.
You too. Cheers.